welcome back to Discovery with Miss Natalie. That's me. So this morning I read a story all about this little fish named Stanley, and he went on an adventure to find his friends. Well, this afternoon what we are going to do is we are going to make our very own fish bowls. So this is what they're going to look like. They're going to have cool fish on them, some seaweed, and then inside of our fish bowls are going to be electric tea light candles. So when we turn it on and we put it into our fish bowl, they're going to light up. Now I know it's daylight, so you can't really see it, but I promise it looks pretty cool. Here, I'll bring it a little bit closer so you can see. But it does have a little bit of light shining through. Can you see that? So then you go to sleep at night, you can put it maybe in your room and you can have a cool little nightlight next to you. Or if you just want to have a fun movie night and you want a little night lighting, you can use your little fishbowl with your candles. So I'm going to show you how we make our really cool fish bowls. So first thing I'm going to talk to you about is what are you going to need to make your fish bowls. One, you're going to need a fishbowl glass. If you don't have a fishbowl glass in your house, there are different things that you can use. You could use a mason jar, or you could use just any other kind of glass jar that you have in your house. If you don't have any glass jars, you could also use a clear tub. So let's say you had peanut butter and it's all gone. You can clean that out, take the label off, and you can use that instead. So there are different things that you can kind of get creative with if you don't have one of these glass fish bowls. Next, what you're going to need is you're going to need some tissue paper of different colors, because you're going to need some blue for the water, and you're just going to rip the tissue paper into little strips for the blue. I also have some green that I turned into little seaweeds. So that's what these are. And then I have two big fish, which are these ones right here. And then I also have these little purple itty bitty baby fishes, which are these little guys right there. Can you see that? So those are all of the things that you're going to need to put onto your glass fish bowl. What else you're going to need is you're going to need some glue. I used clear glue, but you can use just the white glue if you have it. It can't be a glue stick though. It does need to be the liquid glue. And what you're going to do is you're going to take 3 tablespoons of whichever glue you have, the clear or the white, and you're going to put that either into a bowl, a cup, or onto a plate like I did. And then you're also going to need 1 tablespoon of water, because we want our glue to be a little more watery than just typical glue, because it makes it easier to spread when we're putting it onto our fish bowl. So you can get that prepared. And then we're also going to need a paintbrush. I'm using this sponge paintbrush. It makes it easier to spread the glue, but if you don't have a sponge paintbrush, that's okay. You can just use whatever paintbrush that you have at your house. Ooh, I'm getting glue on me. And then we're also going to need little stones or pebbles. These are just like the little fish stones that you can put into fish bowls. These are going to go inside of our glass fish bowl when we're all done putting the glue on the outside. If you don't have these, that's okay. You don't need them to put in there, and maybe you can get them later on if you don't currently have them. Or if you want to get a little naturey, you could go outside and see if you can find any just stones or pebbles, and then you can clean those for this project, and you can put those inside if you don't have the little colorful ones. And then lastly, you're just going to need that battery powered candle. So those are all of the things that you're going to need to make our really cool fish bowls. So now I'm going to show you how we make them. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is get your glass bowl or your little container, and you're going to put one layer of glue around the entire thing. Now for this kind of one, I'm not putting it up here on the very top or on the bottom, kind of like what I did with this one. So the bottom doesn't have anything and the top doesn't have anything, just the middle. So the same thing with whatever you're using. If you're using a mason jar, try not to do the very top of the mason jar. And then if you're using like a peanut butter tub, again, try not to do the very top, just the middle part. So go ahead and grab your paintbrush and your glue, and you're just gonna put strokes down onto your glass. Now when I'm doing this, I'm just going from one side and dragging it over. It makes it easier, and then you're getting nice long strides of glue rather than little pops of glue in different places. So you're going to keep doing that around the entire bowl until the entire middle part is covered with glue. All right, just like that. So now every side in the middle is covered with glue. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your blue strips of tissue paper that you just ripped up. It doesn't need to be nice straight edges. It's okay if it doesn't have that, because it'll make a really cool effect on your fishbowl at the very end, where it looks like there's dark spots and lighter spots of the water in your fishbowl. And then you're just gonna go ahead and start placing it on, just like that, and push it down a little bit. You don't need to put too much pressure on it, because with the glue it gets very sticky easily, and you're just gonna keep going. You'll notice that you're gonna have to overlap just a little bit, and that the parts where the tissue paper is on top of the tissue paper, they're not gonna stick down that well, but that's okay because we're gonna fix that later. So go ahead and keep putting all of your blue tissue paper over your entire fish bowl so that we have our water in our fish bowl. If your tissue paper starts to crinkle a little bit when you're putting this on, that's okay also, because we're gonna push down all of those crinkles a little bit later, and you'll see that it makes a really cool water effect that makes it look like there's waves in your water, which is pretty nifty. So just keep on covering the entire thing. And if you need to stop and rip up some more paper, that's okay. Your glue won't dry quick enough for it to be where you can't continue to add on your tissue paper. All right, almost done. Just a little bit more. Okay. Just like that. All right, so now I have the blue tissue paper on all sides of my fishbowl. So the next step that you're gonna wanna take is you're gonna do the same thing we did in the beginning. You're gonna put glue around the entire middle of your fishbowl again, so that we can stick all of those pieces that aren't touching glue down so that they stay nice and tight on our fishbowl. When you're doing this though, you need to be a little careful because the tissue paper is already on the glue. It does get a little slippy. So when you're putting the next layer of glue on, do it in small sections, just like that. And then if you need to do it in different directions to help the tissue paper stick down so we're not pulling it up, do that. So whichever way you see the tissue paper kind of sticking up, go ahead and put the glue down in that direction. So we're gonna put it all over the entire fishbowl again to make sure that all of our tissue paper is stuck down nice and tight so that it doesn't come off. So now I have a whole nother layer of glue on my fishbowl around all of this blue tissue paper. And another reason why we did that is so that we can start adding on all the seaweed and the fish that we also have cut out. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and grab your seaweed, your little cuts of green that are your seaweed, and you can put them anywhere you want, but I'm going to go ahead and put them starting at the bottom of my fishbowl right there and then going on up. And again, you can put as many as you want. You can put them as close together as you want. They can be really far apart. If you only want them on one side of your fishbowl, just put them on one side of your fishbowl. This is where you can be as creative as you would like to be, because not all of our fish bowls are gonna look exactly the same. Same thing with if you want to add in different colors at the bottom. Maybe you want to add in little colorful circles at the bottom, and this could be coral. You could do that. Or if you want to add in some long black pieces at the bottom, and maybe that is a fish that lives on the bottom of the ocean, you could do that. Just whatever your creativity makes you think of, go ahead and do it, because this is your own special fishbowl light. So whatever you want it to look like is completely up to you. So we're just gonna keep adding. I think I'm gonna do one more like that. All right, so now the bottom of my fishbowl has all of my seaweed. And the next thing we're going to do is add in our fish. So I'm gonna take my big fish first, and I'm just gonna pop it on my fishbowl. There we go. So there's my big fish on my fishbowl. And then I'm gonna put my other big fish on the other side of my fishbowl. Like that. There we go. So now I have a fish on this side and this side. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take all of the little fish that you have cut out. And grab one. This little guy. Do you guys see that? And we're going to put that on our fishbowl too. When you're putting your fish on your fishbowl, they can go in any direction. They can be facing left or they can be facing right. If you want to make them look like they're going to swim over your seaweed, just put it right on top of the seaweed area. And that works too. And again, just like the seaweed, you can use as many little fish as you want and as many big fish as you want. I use 2 big fish, but if you want 4 big fish, put 4 big fish on yours. All right, so we're gonna keep going. Your fingers probably will get a little sticky when you're doing this because they're very small and the glue might stick on them. So what I'm doing is I'm just using the very, very tip of my finger and I'm just tapping it down just like that to make it a little easier and so that my finger doesn't stick to the pieces that I'm putting onto my fishbowl. All right, I'm gonna put one more baby fish on here. And this little guy is gonna go right there. All right, so there we go. So now I have on my seaweed, my big fish, my little fish. And now the next thing we're gonna do is a whole nother layer of glue around the whole thing. This is to make sure that every part is on here, it's stuck, and it won't fall off later. But it's important to note that when you're doing this last layer, you really only need to put it over the seaweed and the fish. You don't need to do the strokes. And also make sure that when you're doing this last layer, it's more of a tapping on top of each little piece rather than strokes, because they're so small. Sometimes it might stick to your paintbrush and then you have to kind of peel that off and stick it back on. So what you're gonna wanna do, and I'll get a little closer so you can fully see, is we're just gonna go over this fish right here and you're just gonna do little taps. That's it, just little tap, tap, taps. And there you go, so now he's stuck on there. Same thing with your big fish. When you get to your big fish, little taps. That's all you gotta do. over the entire thing, and then that will make sure that it's sealed on there nice and tight. So we're going to keep going through all of our fish and seaweed with our glue to make sure that they're all on there nice and tight. Okay, so there we go. I have all of my really cool fish and seaweed stuck onto here so they won't fall off. Now the next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to sit this down to the side for a little while and let it fully dry. It will take a little bit of time to do this because there is so many layers of glue on here, and the glue does have some water in it, so it will take a little while for it to dry. But let's go ahead and do that. We're going to put this down for a little bit. You can pause this video or you can come back to it a little bit later once it's all done, and then I'll tell you the next thing that we're going to do. So let's go ahead and put this down and we're going to let it dry. Okay, so now that we've let our fishbowl dry, so it's all nice and dry and it's not sticky anymore, what we're going to do is, if you got those little pebbles or if you went outside and got some stones, we're going to put those inside of our fishbowl. So go ahead and grab them, and if you're using the glass one, be careful not to drop them from super high up because it is glass and we don't want any cracks or anything to break. So make sure you do kind of put your hand in there so that you can drop them down just a little bit. And go ahead and take all of those pebbles, little stones, and put them into the bottom of your fishbowl. Just like that. All right, a few more. Okay, so now I have them all on the bottom of my fishbowl. And then you're going to take your little battery candle. You can turn it on if you want so that it's on and it's ready to go. I know you can't overly see that it's on. And then we're going to put it down into our fishbowl, just right on top of the stones. And then there you have it. You have your very own cool nightlight fish bowl that you can use at night or during movie time or just to have on in your room whenever you want to have it on. It's up to you. But I hope you enjoyed creating our very own fish bowls today. I super like them. I think they're going to be really cool. So I can't wait to see you again soon. Come on back tomorrow for another really fun story and activity, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.